All right. Sorry, guys, taking a few minutes just to set up. So if you're on watching later on my YouTube, I apologize. So we're just waiting for some people to come in. I'm on live on YouTube and TikTok. So again, if you guys are seeing this later, I apologize. Took a whole minute to get there. So today we are going to be talking about the asylum process inside Canada. So if you guys are interested in that, I'm so happy that you're here. If you want to learn more, if you want to ask questions, please feel free. Today's live is actually going to be a little bit longer than usual. It's going to be about an hour and a half, which is great. So we can like talk about different topics and etc. Um, and again, welcome everyone. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be a little bit longer, and we're going to be talking about refugee claims inside Canada. So if you guys enjoy content like that, please make sure you follow me and come on the live. I try to have at least once a day. This week it was a little broken how many times I had it because really busy with a lot of different things happening. And then yeah, so the topic today, like I mentioned, I apologize for repeating, is refugee claims inside Canada. Now, please remember anything I say here is not meant to be legal advice. I'm going to be repeating this multiple times. And please make sure you maintain your own confidentiality when you are asking questions, and we will take it from there. And if you guys want, how I like to do is I like to talk a little bit, answer questions, talk a little bit more, answer questions. Mainly, I like to structure in a way that I answer questions. But please make sure that you remember that none of anything I say is legal advice, and it should be just general questions. If you need more case specific questions, it has to be a consultation. There's no ifs or buts, and that's it. Okay, so in your experience, if the minister says they may write a letter or not regarding inevitability, do they? Sorry, I think you mean inadmissibility. And I think that the what you mean is intervention. Oh, okay. So it would be A44 report for inadmissibility. That's a type of report, and if you are inadmissible, okay. So a few things here. If you are inadmissible, your claim is going to be put on hold. Your claim is not going to go forward. Um, and generally they will have a inadmissibility or admissibility hearing, and then if you're found admissible, then they'll go forward with your refugee claim. Now at A44, it's very serious, guys. It's not funny. This is not haha jokes, because your refugee claim can end before everyone started. If they find you inadmissible, you will be removed from Canada, unless you can appeal it or you have other legal routes. So yeah, it's very very serious. So if they write a report, you go take into admissibility hearing. I really really recommend you getting a counsel. And you know what? Even I was actually in an admissibility hearing the other day, and the decision maker actually stopped, didn't even proceed with the hearing because the individual did not have counsel. It's very important that you get one to support you through this process, one that is specialized in this type of field. So I'm sorry if that does happen. It doesn't mean it's end of the road. There's still a lot you can do. Um, there's no promises of an outcome ever, but there's still a lot of things you can do to hopefully make yourself admissible. I came in 2022 and applied for refugee in 2026. So any effect of C12? Um, okay, so good question, guys. Something I've repeated before. Bill C12 is not just one little aspect of not being eligible to be referred to the Immigration Refugee Board. It has a lot of different elements, and one of the main ones is um, being referred to the Immigration Refugee Board. So in your question that you asked, I came in 2022 and applied for refugee in 2026. Um, if you already applied, that aspect might not affect you, but there are other elements that could affect you very much. So please keep that in mind and keep that in the back of your head. There are other elements that might. Yeah, no problem, kid. And I'm sorry that that might be an issue, but it does happen, and they've done it a lot. I do those type of cases, and I cannot imagine um, how difficult it can be. Honestly, they're even for me, they're very hard. Could someone win a refugee case by being self-represented? Captain, yes, they can. So, guys, in immigration, and if anyone tells you otherwise, they're lying to you. In immigration, in any type of pathway, you can self-represent. There's no one forcing you to get a counsel. It's recommended. And the reason why we recommend it is because the immigration or refugee or anything like that is extremely complex. It is, even for me, and I'm trained in this, it's extremely complex. It takes hours to try to understand it. I think I was telling in one of my lives that I was in a seminar just one day. We took 1.5 hours, no, 1 hour, to understand one new legislation. And so you can imagine, and this was not just consultants coming together. This was lawyers too. So there was many people this in this meeting because we were trying to understand this one piece of legislation. And the thing is we don't have a roadmap, right? We don't have something like IRCC explaining it, breaking it down for us. Now, IRCC has a very good website, obviously, and most of the information is up there, but there are little elements here and there that's not up there, right? A lot of them are in the legislation, which a lot of people don't think about. So, for example, I'll give you one. If you abandon your case, if you are withdrawing your case, you have to leave Canada within 15 days. Where is that in IRCC? I haven't seen it, or IRB. It's in the regulations. So, and to your point, to your next question, Captain's wife, yes, it's a good idea to get one. You don't need one. And the reason why it's important to get one, because again, we are trained in this, we know certain things, we can prepare you, we can catch inconsistency. One of the important things in it is catching inconsistencies, to catch certain issues in your claim and making sure it's addressed properly. But it is, again, completely up to you. But I will say, and it's not just necessarily refugee cases, this is more like admissibility hearings. A lot of times you're very, very encouraged to find a counsel for certain matters. IRB received my narrative yesterday, so how long will I have to wait for a court hearing? Um, Sorry, I'm just thinking here. Probably 2.5 years, I would say. 2.5. That's kind of what I'm seeing. All right, let me see. All right, I got a few questions here. Give me motivation. Fat sick about what? Sorry, I'm just trying to understand what do you need motivation for? More chances if a couple applies for refugee or different cases. Depends what they're claiming a refugee under. Is it under the same issue? Because if it's the same issue, people generally apply together. Will international student be able to join Canadian military service? I don't believe so. I think you need to be a permanent resident or a Canadian citizen. But that's not a question for me. That is a question for the Canadian forces. Under different cases for marriage. So again, I'm not really sure. I don't fully understand. It just depends. Is it the same if you're seeking a refugee claim under different issues, like different things happen to you, or if it's the same issue? So it really just depends on different I'm not really understanding. Okay, so before I get it, I think I've answered most questions. Maybe some important updates that I want to talk about. Bill C-12 is like the forefront of it all. It's slowly starting to come in. They had their committees, they had individuals coming in and kind of talking against it. So that is what's coming up. A few important things I did want to talk about, guys, and I'll get to the questions afterwards. It's really, really important for you to understand that your counsel, especially if you're hiring an immigration consultant, they are authorized to do so. I'm finding an increased amount of people coming to me and saying that they're not like their counsel started their application for them, but they started it under their own name, and then they put their own address and everything. And I'm starting to find that very suspicious, because if they're doing that, that means they don't have that special license, IRB. If you guys see, I have it in my like on next to my RCIC, and they're not allowed to be doing that. If that is something that is happening, you need to not go forward with them, because they're not allowed to. They don't have the license for it. Um, and it's so important, guys, that you get someone who is licensed and able to do something like this. It's really, really important because, you know, one really important reason is that technically, as a counsel, someone who's authorized, we have a My Case portal. Everything that comes from the Immigration Refugee Board comes to us. So if they put it under your name, then all that information is supposed to that goes to you, right? And it's not going to your counsel. And at the end of the day, if you go to a hearing, they can't represent you because they're going to stop them. So I just don't know understand why some councils do this, but please be very careful with that. All right. So me and my girlfriend belong to. I'm going to answer questions now. Me and my girlfriend belong to different religion, and we want to. I guess you want to get married, right? Is this like? I don't understand what you mean. Like, is that why? Why is okay? Claire, like clearly this is very case specific question. So if you have further questions from what I'm about to say, you'll have to book a consultation. But um how is this a refugee claim, right? Where's the risk? Where is the risk and where's the fear? I'm not really understanding. My claim got accepted on February 2nd without a hearing. Now I need to apply for PR. After how long I can? You can apply for PR once you get the documents ready. Remember, one of it is a notice of decision. Can I apply for asylum? My case is pending in USA. Uh, I can't answer that for you, because that is a consultation worthy type of thing. My first intuition is to say no, but it really does depend as well, and what happens there. So that really depends. Um, okay. What's the process if someone you living with for 2 years wants to sponsor you? Could you withdraw your case? You can, but remember there are consequences to withdrawing your case, right? Your removal order will come into effect. You have to do extra things to prevent that removal. So that's really important. Can I submit my evidence without a hearing date? Yes, you can. That remember, the regulation is you have to submit your disclosure 10 days before the hearing. That's the deadline. All right, guys. Guys, please. I'm gonna ask that if you guys want to chat, please take it off of my live, because all I see is just questions being pushed down and down and down, and I'm starting to miss a few of them. So if you guys want to chat, just take it off the live. uh, I got accepted by the RID and applied for my PR. Oh, that's great, Franklin. Good job. Great to hear. Um, Okay, I'm just trying to think. Yes. So please remember, if because you guys, I think a lot of people forget that they have a departure order, an unenforceable removal order made against them. Right. This is happens when you go for your eligibility hearing. It's normal. It happens. A lot of people get worried. It's not something that comes into effect just yet. If you withdraw, abandon, um, or lose your refugee claim, it will come into effect and it can actually have you removed from Canada. So please, please, please remember that. If your case is denied, what other options does it have? Um, that is a very case specific question. I really can't answer that unless you book a consultation, because it depends on each and different person what their situation is and what they can apply for. It's not like there's a something else that you can apply and that applies to everyone. How long does it take? Frankly, I'm not really understanding your question. What does it mean? Am I in good ground? How long does it take to get your PR after you apply? Like, what's new processing time? Oh, many years. My case is refused, but I'm not received any letter. Okay, Abby, remember you still have that removal order. So if you, there, and also it's um it's from the day that you received, I think, the notice or something. I can't remember, but you have to be very careful of you have to be very careful of if you want to appeal as well, because appeals also have a very short deadline as well. Can we go to a country from which we have a threat after getting citizenship of Canada? No, guys, no. And I know a lot of people disagree with what I say. Do what you will. You're putting yourself in jeopardy. It's not my life end of the day. And I'll be very frank, and I do apologize, comes off a little mean, but it doesn't affect me, right? Because I'm not in your situation. I'm not putting, like, I would never put myself in jeopardy like that. Um, because end of the day, citizenship revocation is very much possible. They During Stephen Harper time, they actually went and reviewed a lot of refugee cases that were people who got approved and had their citizenship returned to their country, basically reavailing themselves. But they can remove you based on misrepresentation or fraud, and if they find that in your case, they can. So I'm not. It's frustrating because some people believe that once they get their citizenship, they can do that. No, don't do it. It's not safe. But again, it's up to you if you want to listen or you guys just, yeah. Okay. I mean, when am I granted convention? When am I granted convention refugee and apply for PR? Again, Franklin, can you just write out the question? Where's your office? It's in downtown Toronto. Wait, is it not just 2 years because they changed the processing time with no to get the PR? Mm, I haven't seen the recent one. From what I saw from the refugee thing, it's not specifying if it's a refugee claim that's going to take that long, or if it's the PR process that's taking that long. What can someone do legal like process after getting citizenship to go back to their country? I don't know, to be really honest. I can say this. Not even with a permanent residency, not every situation is considered reavailment, and not every case is not considered reavailment, if you guys know what I mean. If you guys have been following me, and I'll make another one, I'll look for new cases to bring up to show you guys. Not every case that I've gone through, because they go sometimes to federal court where they consider them reavailed. Are they actually considered reavailed? But why put yourself in that risk? Why would you do something to put yourself in jeopardy to you lose your PR or your citizenship? Submitted under agri-food pilot 1.5 years ago. What after AOR? No update. AOR is actually taking a very long time. I was actually chatting with some colleagues, and they're saying it's about a year or more that's taking. I don't know. It could take less, but it really depends. What is it, Franklin? That's a really good question. What is the difference between a asylum claimant and a convention refugee? So, a convention refugee is someone who is a refugee based on political opinion, nationality, race, sexual orientation, etc. Right? Generally, you're considered convention refugee, at least in Canada, when you've been accepted on grounds of Section 96. Asylum claimant is someone just making a claim, like they're saying, "I am a person in need of protection," and in Canada, it's technically someone who has not had their claim accepted yet. They're just going through the process. In the portal, it lets you specify what you are and what you did. That shows 10 months. I applied Jan 2025. Okay. Sinu, I can't answer case specific questions. Could I get your office address, please? Inbox me. My office address is in Financial District. I don't give my full, and this is for safety purposes mainly, my full address, unless you have booked a consultation. And not just sorry, not safety specifically, but because I'm in a type of office where you just need to, like, I have to. If you book a consultation, you get the full address, or if you're a client, you get the full address. I don't give it just to everyone. Okay, thank you for understanding. um okay, sorry, I missed a question here. I applied PR as a protected person on January 2024, but didn't get a response. How long will it? Simon, you're going to wait a very long time, and this is not, it's been happening to my clients as well too. It's unfortunate, but PR, protected person permanent residency, is taking an enormous amount of time. But continue your life. Make sure you still maintain your work permit or study permit, whatever it is that you need. Um, but yeah, it does take a very long time. So can a convention refugee apply for their PR? So if you want to apply for protected person permanent residency, because it's a type of protected person, you have to have your notice of decision. If you don't have it, then you can't. Oh, thank you, Simple Life with Nininka, for the get rose. I appreciate that. uh, Hello, good day. Question: what happens when a person has two failed hearings? What, Kita, what do you mean two failed? Like, did you fail at the Refugee Protection Division and then at the Refugee Appeal Division? Like, is that the two failed hearings? Um, did you get anything back? Okay. Hi, it's good that you in this app. I have a question. Hamilton, go right ahead. But again, um, please remember it can't be case specific. Captain's wife, that's a really good question. So I have multiple different types of questions. If you have a specific question for refugee, it's you can pick between the short one, which is just if you have a few questions, which is $80 for 15 minutes. There is the half an hour one, which is a general consultation for 120. And then there is 1 hour, which is $150. And you can book that right on my website. If you click on that link, it says Linktree, but if you click on Linktree, you'll get my website to my actual website, and you can book it there. Or if you want, you can send an email to the email that you see on my bio, and then you can e-transfer it there as well. And then I'll send you the information and the retainer for you to sign, and we can plan your or book your consultation. I have a family in Afghanistan. Any idea how to sponsor? Example, my brother-in-law. Hamilton. Okay. So again, please remember nothing I say, guys, here is meant to be legal advice. This is a case specific question, so I'm only going to answer it in a general form. If you want to know more information, you'll have to book a consultation. But generally, if you want to sponsor family, it depends on your situation, guys. For example, there's a spousal sponsorship, common law or conjugal. These are very different. There's also the lonely person or something. I forgot the actual name. Lonely something type of sponsorship. That one is very, very specific on who can apply. Not everyone can, even for spousal, not everyone can. But it's an option for individuals who really need it. Um, and if your family members are, and again, it really depends what your family is looking to do, right? Is their intent to be here more permanent, which we might have to look at more permanent residency routes. If they only want to be here temporary, it's a different process too. What's the questions you get at the eligibility interview? So again, I'm gonna preface this by saying, guys, this is not meant to be legal advice at all. But I do want to have a quick chat about this. Okay, so your eligibility interview is not going to be like your actual hearing. It's just going to be more general questions. They all want to understand your situation, why you're seeking safety, etc., and if you're eligible. Now they can ask more questions. To be really honest, this is case specific, right? They might ask certain things about you. Like for example, if you came through the U.S. and Canada border, they might ask some questions there. Just depends. But that's overall what the concept is, to understand if you are eligible to seek safety in Canada. Kita, I understand, but what does your friend mean having two failed hearings? Like, was there refugee protection division and then the refugee appeal division? Between PSW and social work services, which will while recommend someone to pursue in Canada? So Marco, that really, really depends. Um, it depends on your own preferences, but it's also really important to look at where you want to live, what your intentions are. If you want to get a job and then get some experience, I would say, and this is just not just for you, anyone, even for a student who's in Canada, so look at the labor demands, right? Right now, the way the immigration pathways are going is that they're really looking at certain occupations, and even for postgraduate work permit, depending on like PSW, I think it's more college based. In order for you to get a PGWP, you'll have to be in a certain type of occupations to be able to apply for the postgraduate work permit. So these are really, like, really important things to remember when you are applying for a program, and what it is exactly you want from your program, right? Like it really depends. What if you received document disclosure of documents, no intervention? So Kewen's clothing shop. Remember, they can still intervene. Just because you received a notice that there's no intervention. I've seen situations where they've received no intervention. Later on, they have until I think 10 days beforehand to notify that they're intervening. Um, but they can very much intervene later on. Nothing's really stopping them from doing that. Um, you are doing this for Africa. Sorry, I'm not understanding. What am I doing for Africa? Okay. I'm not really understanding. Okay. Um, so how do I apply for sponsorship in Afghanistan? I don't know. Like you can't really, like you have to be Canadian in Canada to be applying. No, you don't have to necessarily be in Canada, but have the intention to apply or be in Canada. I can't remember if you have to have the intention or you have to be in Canada. I think it's the intention, but again, these are questions, Hamwatan, for for a consultation. Uh, there is no Quinn. It does not mean it's a good sign. Nothing about the minister intervening is whether it's a good or bad sign. It just means that you're going through a refugee claim and they're not intervening for now. It's the decision maker who makes the decision, and they can still reject you. They don't really care if the minister's intervening or not. If the minister's intervening, they're just going to present reasons why you should not get it, and your case might become a little harder. Can I apply for my close family, spouse, and children after receiving AOR? No, they have to be dependents, and they should have been in your. Oh, afterwards. No, no, no. Sorry, I thought you meant with your PR now. Depends. There are different. Again, there's different types of, like bringing family to Canada. Who they are, how like where they are, and etc. What their situation is, but it's not just as easy as it sounds, guys. You just can't sponsor just anyone in Canada. I'm a Canadian. I've been here for 25 years ago. That's why I was living back home. Okay. So again, so my brother-in-law and his wife living back home. Okay. Yeah, they would have to apply probably on a different route because those other family types of sponsorship are very specific to who they can sponsor. How do I go about getting a legal separation agreement or letter? Sorry, are you Captain Jimmy? Are you separating for someone? What happens when I apply asylum online while I'm in Canada? Well, you can only apply for asylum when you're in Canada. You can't apply for it outside. Okay, so they're the dependents and then my wife all under 10. Okay, so I- I'm not sure if I've never seen anyone apply for them after, but you should have put them down as your dependents before you submitted your PR. I'll be really honest, I'm not sure about that one because I've never had anyone not put down their dependents. But guys, again, please remember this is not meant to be legal advice. Junior, how does moving to a different province affect the pending asylum case? You have to notify them and you might have to change the office that your claim is happening in. Not just IRB, but also CBSA or IRCC and IRCC. No, not anyone from any country can apply. There are outside Canada the refugee claims or not refugee claim, refugee applications, but those are very case specific, and there's only different types of sponsorships that can happen, and they're very nuanced, so not everyone can apply for it. Oh, we've been separated for 3 years. So Captain's wife, I honestly can't answer that. To be really honest, that is a question for an immigration, not immigration, sorry, family lawyer. I'm Asian in Denmark. How can I get to Canada? Dr. Suleiman, that is a very case specific question. I don't know. I have to know a lot more about you to recommend programs, and I can't do that without a consultation. Mohammed, I don't know when you will get it. You can take a look at the processing time to see the estimation of when you will get your PR. Yeah, no problem. Um, what should I expect the process if I claim asylum online while I'm in Canada? So, okay. So if you're already in Canada, you're not applying at the, sorry, I can't say it like that. If you've applied for an asylum in Canada, the first steps are getting your medical examination, applying, yeah, your medical examinations, your acknowledgement, going for your interviews, and then if they determine if you're eligible for the Immigration Refugee Board. But I have to get a separation letter in order to be sponsored by my new spouse. Right. But I can't give any information about a separation letter because I don't know, and I'm not a family lawyer. How much do you charge for a couple? Claire, is this for a refugee? If it's for a refugee, I charge 2,500, and then each additional person on that case is 1,000. So in total, it'll be 3,500. Does the hearing today too depends on the province you seek the asylum? No, it doesn't. Generally, hearings are dependent on the person's situation, what questions they want to ask. It doesn't have to do with anything with the province. Yes, you would have to get like some. I think you have to go through the court process, but honestly, I have no idea. I can't even answer that question, Captain's wife. Does the hearing date too depend on the province you seek asylum? No, I've been finding that it's kind of the same amount of time. Sometimes certain individuals get it faster. I've never seen that happen, so it really just depends. So do you do those kind of work? No, I can't. Like it has to be, I don't know if paralegals can do it, but specifically you should be talking to a family lawyer. Sorry, can you repeat the total? Yes. So for a refugee claim, doing the whole process is 3,500 for two people. I charge 2,500 for one person, and this means going to the hearing with you as well. And then each additional person on that file is $1,000 extra. So it'll be in total for two people 3,500. Okay. Oh, I think I missed Junior's question. Asylum seeker can only learn things no longer than 6 months. Is that true? No, no, that's not true, Junior. You can't even, you cannot benefit even from that. This less than 6 months rule, you have to get a study permit. It should technically be free for asylum seekers, but you still have to get that study permit to be able to study. Oh, okay. Bint, I'm not sure what you mean by that. Sorry. Phoebes, how much do you charge for an HNC application? That is a good question. Let me go on my website. Guys, these are all like, I'm very transparent with my prices. It's on my website, but let me, I can't remember. I think it was like, I don't want to give you like another answer because, give me 1 second. All right, where are you? It's at the bottom apparently. Ah, yes. Uh, so if it's just for one person, it's 3,500, and then an extra $1,000 for each person. That's for HNC fees. But again, guys, remember I offer payment plans, so that does not mean that you have to pay all of that upfront. You can provide it in installments. No problem, Phoebes. What does it mean if your case is withdrawn? That means that you've basically said I no longer want to apply for a refugee claim. I'm withdrawing it. like withdrawing your application. Um, and sorry, I'm just trying to answer your question. And your removal order can come into effect, and you have to leave Canada as soon within 15 days. Okay, captain's wife. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I'm okay. For spousal common law sponsorship, I charge $2,000. But again, you can provide that in installments. Yes, 2,000. So it's not technically both parties. You got to keep in mind it's one person is the sponsor and one person's a sponsoree, right? So it's one main application. So yes, for that I charge $2,000. How long does a spousal sponsorship AID/ADR take after notice of disclosure? Um, I can't recall. It can take a couple of months from what I found, but it really also depends on the time and the influx of cases. What happens if a refugee claimant enters the express entry pool? You might not be eligible to enter the express entry pool. So I'd be very careful with that, guys. Once, and this is why I say be very, very careful when you apply for a refugee claim because there's consequences. And one of them is that you will no longer be eligible for certain programs or be barred from applying for certain programs for a certain amount of time, like HNC or peer removal risk assessment. How much for spousal sponsorship outside Canada? Same price or OBMC, $2,000. I don't have inside or outside the different prices, and you can and there are payment plans. Is the IAD ADR hearing the same as a refugee hearing? No, no, I would not say it's the same, and I'll tell you why. When you are doing an immigration appeal division, they're not looking like in this what do you mean like is it the same, is it the same that you'll have a decision maker and the minister council present? Well, in refugee claims they're not always there, right? But in a spousal sponsorship, I'll paint you a picture. Let me talk about it like this. I know we're going off the refugee question, but this is a really good question, guys. And this is also for anyone who has like spousal sponsorship appeals, removal order appeal, um, what other? Sorry, I'm thinking permanent residency appeal. Um, if you have any of those, this is kind of how the process goes. So at the hearing, sorry, my head is hurting a little bit because I'm looking down like this, my neck. So the hearing in itself, you will be there. Your spouse will not be there. Like they'll be there, they'll have to speak, but they can't be at the hearing at the same time as you or the person you're sponsoring. At the immigration appeal division, you'll have the decision maker, your counsel if you have one. If you don't have one, then they're not going to be there, and the minister's counsel. At first, you will have questions asked by your counsel if you have one, or the member is going to ask you questions. They're going to be very specific about if you have a counsel, they're going to be asking you questions to support your claim. And then there is the decision maker. Sorry, after your counsel or you being questioned, then it's going to minister's counsel. Remember, at this time, you cannot be communicating with your spouse whatsoever, right? These have to be genuine questions asking, and you can't even have things in front of you. Again, it has to be a very genuine answers. So in that sense, it looks a little bit different. But you'll have the minister council arguing against your claim or your hearing or just your spousal sponsorship. And then if there's anything that you want to argue against, you can do that afterwards. And then or the minister can do that as well. And then it's the decision maker who makes a decision. So that's kind of how it looks, but they're going to look a lot different because they're asking for different things. Now, not alternative detention. An ADR, alternative dispute resolution, is more informal process to come to an agreement. And this is really interesting, guys. A lot of times you are actually able to reach to a decision with the minister council, and you don't even need to go to a hearing. But sometimes you can't reach an agreement and you go into the hearing. All right, let me go. Uh, Can you withdraw a refugee case and start another pathway like a spousal sponsorship? Calvin, you can, but remember, and this is why it's really, I always tell people, guys, be very careful applying for refugee claims. You have a removal order. Your removal order can come into effect, and you have to leave Canada in a very short amount of time, as specified, and they will try to remove you if you don't comply. So you have to take other steps to prevent that removal and to apply for other type of applications. When a protected person applies for PR with a spouse and children, are the documents processed same time? If you're applying at this, it should. It should. Although I'll tell you, and this was many years ago. When was I applying for this? When was I with this, like working for this person? I think it was like 2022, 2023. I did see that this situation in the PR, for some reason, the children and the spouse were processed faster than the main applicant. I don't know why that happened. It's just something that happens. Sarab, what is the difference between an ADR and an appeal? And an ADR is an alternative dispute resolution. So essentially, it's an informal meeting with the Ministers' Council and like almost like a not necessarily mediation, but you guys having a informal with your council if you have one, to come to a resolution. If you can't make an agreement on something of the issue at hand, then you go to the hearing, and a hearing is booked. To some, I answered your question, so I think, yeah, I answered your question. Yeah, no problem. I know a lot of times people get confused, like, what is an alternative dispute resolution? It's just essentially, almost think of it, it's not that informal, but think of it like a meeting, you having a meeting with the minister council to come to an agreement. If that's not possible, then you go into a hearing. And only certain type of removal, a certain type of um like yeah, certain type of appeals can do this. Sometimes even the other party doesn't want you to come to an agreement. They're like, no, we're going to a hearing. And I've also seen in certain situations, like this is mainly for removal orders, even right before the hearing, the minister's council and the counsel for the person in concern come to an agreement, and then they just go into the hearing. They tell the member, like, hey, we came to an agreement, this is our recommendation to you, Mr. Member or Madam Member. And then Mr. and Madam Member listen, and then usually what I have found is they actually agree with both parties and they come to that agreement. So I'll give you an example, like for example, a removal order. I've seen where the minister's counsel and the counsel for the person concerned, so the applicant, come into agreement. They go into the hearing. They say, "Madam," at the time was Mr. Member, we came to an agreement. This is what we suggest. We suggest a temporary stay of removal, so the person has not removed yet, like their removal is stayed until, like, let's say 2 years down the line, so this person can prove to themselves that they will make the right steps, and like why they shouldn't be removed, and then they'll come back and determine in 2 years. And obviously if the person complies and they're doing well and stuff, maybe they'll won't be removed from Canada. But I've seen that happen, and the member usually agrees. In airport, they took the license drive from me and gave me a copy when I applied for Canadian. They refused to accept the copy. For what type of application? Because if it's a refugee claim, yeah, um, they can take away your identifications. What's the best advice you could give me to prepare for a diploma program in immigration law at Queens? Or are you applying for the GDIP for immigration, like to become an immigration consultant, Paulina? If that's the case, I did not take the Queens program. I'm sorry. I can't speak now. I took a different one, and this was before the changes that they made. I took Herzing, but it went from colleges to universities like after I had started my program. But I've heard really good things about it. I've heard Queens is actually good, and all I say is just study, study, study. I know it's getting a little bit harder. Apparently, I think it's closed book now. Did they say it's called the EPE is closed book? So study, retain the information. But honestly, and I say this to anyone who's starting, you don't learn as much as when you actually start working in the field. All the things I'm saying, all the things I've learned, yes, some of them come from studying, I guess, to get my license, but they're mainly experience. Like I and knowing where to go look for the law and what it is. Like what I'm talking about a refugee hearing, it's because I have that experience. So don't be too hard on yourself. If you're not understanding something or you don't know the answer to something, do your best and study because it's law. And law is not easy. But best of luck to you. Let me know how that goes. And once you become a consultant, welcome. Uh, where do you recommend to start working in the meantime? I think you're supposed to have a internship. I know I did, but mine was shorter again because it was before this change. Um, work really with anyone who's willing to teach you. Not everyone is, and I will say this, not every consultant or lawyer is willing to teach you properly. Go somewhere, network. It's really important. Um, and find somewhere and talk to other consultants and stuff where they learned and who they recommend to teach them. I want for license exchange. First, I'm really sorry, I'm not understanding. What do you mean a license exchange? The Iran is the best country. Okay. In what sense? I say this as an Iranian myself. Oh my God, absolutely not. We are not here for this. I'm just gonna block you. You sound stupid. I cannot with that dumb shit, guys. I'm sorry. Excuse me. But there is absolutely no room for this utter nonsense of like discrimination or saying things about other countries. It's not happening. Not on my fucking account, okay? I will block you. We already have enough division in the world. You're not coming on here and doing that on my live. Pisses me. Sorry, guys. It really upsets me when people talk like that. Like, we're all human beings. We're all. I'm very like, everybody should love everybody. We're all human beings, okay? So annoying. License drive exchange. Again, I'm not really understand what is a license drive exchange. I really am not. I'm sorry. Do I have a right to ask for a license using the airport? No. Again, okay. So first, I recommend you go and speak with a CBSA officer. I don't know. I really, honestly, can't tell you. Um, so you should go talk to them. Okay. Um, after pre-hearing, Does the IAD make a final decision or it's IRCC? So, Immigration Appeal Division is a separate entity from the um, IRCC. So, if the decision maker makes a decision, that's a decision. After a pre-hearing, so when you say pre-hearing, you mean the alternate dispute resolution, right? If there's no agreement, then it goes to the hearing, and then when the decision is made there by the member, then that's it. Unless you want to appeal that to the federal court, because the Immigration Appeal Division is the appeal division in a hearing or in a the Immigration Refugee Board. We're Immigration Division. How long does a work permit take as a refugee claimant? It's pretty fast to get. If you're deemed eligible, they generally, I found recently, they're giving it to people right there. All right, guys, I did want to go on until 1:30, but I do apologize. I have a lot to do today. I'm just so overwhelmed with work, so I need to leave for now. I hope this was informative, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend and be safe. I'm probably going to have another live tomorrow, hopefully. Um, and yes, Captain's Wife, it's usually on Zoom, so we'll be talking like face to face. I hope that answers your question. And that's generally most how my Zooms, my consultations are. That we will see each other. um, yeah, no problem. And yeah, guys, please be safe. If you want to book a consultation, links in the bio. And have a wonderful weekend. Please be safe. Enjoy your weekend. Get out there. Enjoy life a little bit, guys. Life is too short. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to go and enjoy life as much as I can. Okay, perfect, Captain's Wife. I look forward to it. Bye for now, everyone. Be safe. Be good.